All right, welcome in on a Friday edition of the Daily Fix. I am your host, Ron Hughley, and we're here every single day, 12 Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, right here on Foolish Club Media, right there in that little box. You see him, you know him. That's Steve Serta. Hello, Stevie.
Hi.
How do you, babe? How do you? Good weekend, ready to go? Got a little, can take our feet down, watch some good college football, watch some good NFL football. Chiefs are not involved in the playoffs, but don't mean you ain't got to watch it. You get to see who they may play next week. But one thing I do need to do, however you're taking us in, we appreciate it. Please share, let others know as well about the Daily Fix every day. We'd like for them to be a part of this family as well. One thing I do need you to do, if you have not done so, please head to our YouTube page, Foolish Club Media, like and subscribe as we try to grow this thing, Steve. And remember, if you do not do so, you're preventing my 3 children from eating. So go ahead, like and subscribe at Foolish Club Media. Get all the great content. Showing BK dropped this morning. Pretty good episode. As BK went on there and just couldn't admit that he was wrong. Just can't admit. He'll ride down with the shit. But go check out all the great content that we put out here at Foolish Club Media. All right, not going to hold you long. The unthinkable. When sports meets what's going on in real life, when those things collide, we're seeing that happen right now in California. We'll discuss that. College football, a great game last night, but there's a bigger point and a bigger part in conversation to me. We'll discuss that. But let's start here. Give me my 2 minutes here, Steve. Chiefs are off, but one of the things that happens with teams that are off, and you're seeing it with the Lions, is both their coordinators are being looked out for head coaching vacancies. Finally, Matt Nagy had him an interview, and now Spags is getting real looks. He's gotten interviews. We'll have interviews with, if he hasn't already had them, the Jags, the Raiders, and the Jets. And look, happy for Steve. I think he wants to be a head coach again after that failed time with the Rams. But my theory in thinking of this is, Steve, which team is just going to be smart enough to just say, you know what? I don't even care if this works or not. I don't even care if you know we did turn this thing around and we start to become a challenger and get to a Super Bowl and be a Super Bowl contender. I just want to break this up. Right? Like, who's going to step up and have the balls to do it? Who's going to step up and say, you know what? No longer, Andy and the Chiefs, am I just going to allow you to have a defensive coordinator who is the best in the game, and we're seeing multiple other defensive coordinators that aren't as good as him get hired for head coaching jobs just because their age is younger and they hadn't failed yet. Brian Flores, D'Amico Ryans, Robert Saleh, there are many, many others. Who's going to step up and just say, nah, man, we're going to break this up, Chiefs? Who's going to – honest God, I think somebody – if I'm around the league and as people, it feels like everybody sort of so desperate to have the Chiefs lose and break this thing up. If I'm around the league, somebody's got to be a sacrifice. Somebody's got to take this and sacrifice this thing. Maybe the Jets, you ain't going nowhere. Sacrifice this thing. Because this sort of has been the secret for the Chiefs is – they just get to keep these cats together that are going nowhere. It's just the craziest thing ever. It's just like, hey, you know what? Kyle, if Dan Quinn just got to keep Kyle Shanahan and nobody ever came around to hire Kyle Shanahan, and in Atlanta, Dan Quinn just got to keep Kyle Shanahan run his offense. That's what the Chiefs have been doing right now with Spags. So if I'm a team around the league just to break this up. I would take it as a sacrifice regardless if it worked or not. They hired Dan Quinn again, and it worked.
Yeah, it's unreal that it's taken this long for him to get any kind of head coaching buzz again with what he's accomplished since he became the Chiefs defensive coordinator. And it's not even the same thing as like Eric Bieniemy, where everybody's like, well, it's Andy Reid. It's not Eric Bieniemy. But like Spags is in charge of the defense. He has totally changed what the Chiefs do on that side of the ball. And he's won multiple rings that way, including an all-time great defensive season from this team last season. And he got no head coaching looks. Like, the fact that the NFL has allowed the Chiefs to maintain this coaching staff for so long is absolutely insane. When we see other teams, we see Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan's coaching staffs get decimated every offseason.
You know, and before it fell to the wayside this year, especially with lack of talent, it was the kind of the secret for the Bengals too, sort of, is they were just able to keep Lou over there. And Lou is one of the best defensive minds in football, but because of his age, nobody will go hire him or even give him a real shot. So basically the Chiefs have just had Dick LeBeau sitting over here for years that nobody's going to hire because Dick was 90. And we'll see. But somebody ought to be smart to break this thing up. All right. Last night, Notre Dame, Penn State. Now, listen, I just want to say, game-wise, it was a very entertaining, compelling game, which college football has had a lack of it during this playoff. It feels like really the Texas-Arizona State game is the only one that has been compelling. And it was a good game, man. I watched it. I was into it. But the thing that really jumps out to me, Steve, and I hope this is just a one-year thing, but I feel like it's not. I feel like this is one part of NIL that I don't think I anticipated and maybe we didn't anticipate. Steve, it feels like I'm watching, when I watch these teams that are left, and Ohio State may be a little different, but I still can't get out of my mind that they lost to that horrible Michigan team at home, scoring 10 points. So that's hard. But it feels like I'm watching teams that should be playing historically to the level of the Capital One Bowl or the Alamo Bowl, like just outside of the big bowl games. Just like, I'm really not trying to be an ass. I see that smile you're sneaking across, but I feel like Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, and even Ohio State, they played really, really well here of late, but I don't know if that is the opponent or what. But they just don't, like, this does not seem like those Clemson, Alabama teams that were playing each other, or Georgia and Alabama, or Georgia and Clemson. Like, this does not, or Georgia, Ohio State, when Justin Fields and they had all those guys over there. It does not feel like we have strong teams. It feels like it's more competitive. Like I feel like people around Kansas and Missouri's program or K-State should feel like, you know what, damn it, we might really be able to win a national championship because it is just more even. And that part, I don't know that I love. Sort of, there is no that year that Alabama and Tua came in for Jalen Hurts and they beat that Georgia team and it was late, or Clemson when Deshaun Watson was at Clemson and they played Alabama, those type. You're not seeing those types teams. I think I saw two bona fide NFL players on the field yesterday between Penn State, like real ones that I think can really make a difference, that could be Pro Bowl level. I think I saw two on the field yesterday in that Penn State Notre Dame game. When in the past, games like that, it was guys all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, this was an entertaining game, and largely the college football playoff hasn't been filled with a lot of entertaining games. Ohio State's been pretty impressive, but other than them, like really, and this isn't really looked at as like an amazing draft class. So maybe that's a part of this thing, like for college football as a whole this year, like this is looked at is compared to last season's, especially where we saw so many guys come in the league this year and make a difference in year one. Like this is looked at as kind of a down overall draft class. So maybe we're just seeing it actually play out in the college football playoff.
And when you say that, that's why I say I hope this is a one-off. But I'm just saying, I'm watching this Notre Dame team that's about to get that's going to the national championship game. Serta, I think they will get throttled by like last year's Michigan team that won it all, or Washington with Penix, or the Texas team last year that had all those guys. Like, I think they would get throttled by those teams. And I don't think, and those teams, lost. Like Notre Dame wouldn't even made it this far. I'm not kidding you. They feel like that. It feels like I'm watching the Gator Bowl matchup, but except it's on the Orange Bowl. So I hope it's a one-off. But I get the feel, sort of, because NIL and guys can play all over the place, you're just not going to have, all of the top recruits like Alabama or Georgia get all those top guys like they used to, because other teams can pick up and pay money. All right, finally, man, these unthinkable tragedies and everything that is still going on in LA with these wildfires is just crazy. They haven't been able to contain it. It is still moving to the point sort of where the Lakers canceled their game yesterday against the Charlotte Hornets. JJ Redick, sort of, his home got burned down. He lost his home, and there's several athletes that have been there. Obviously, several just people who maybe don't have the ability to kind of bounce back like a JJ Redick has. They've lost their homes. They moved and this thing's Monday. They already made the decision Thursday to move the Rams and Arizona, or the Rams and Vikings playoff game, move it to Glendale where the Cardinals play. They already decided to move that game just because the latest fire was 7 miles away from the practice facility of the Rams. And then I remember earlier in the week, there were some that gave Kawhi Leonard a little hell. And I ain't going to lie to you, I kind of checked up my eyes just a bit, just with his history. But he stepped away from the Clippers to be with his team that evacuated their homes. I kind of looked at it a little bit, but now you're seeing how serious this is. Sort of, if all of them did it, if every athlete in LA whose families had to move or dealing with any of this, if all of them sat down or wanted to stop play for just a bit to kind of deal with stuff, like I can't look down upon it, man. Because I just think if I'm Kawhi Leonard and my wife says, "Hey, we need you here," I'm out. Like, I'm to hell with playing the damn Jazz. I'm out. So this is crazy. I got, one of my best friends, Steve, is there. He had to evacuate and got a notice that he had to get out where he is, and he lives in West LA. This is just a scary situation, and this is when real life and the biggest story in the world hits and meets sports. And obviously now these leagues are having to make decisions. I think the Kings canceled hockey games as well.
Yeah. It's, it's awful and it's tragic, and it's like, I can't even imagine being an athlete in the LA area right now and trying to navigate this. And especially these teams that are gearing up for playoff games to like keep your season alive. Like, how are you supposed to stay focused on your opponent? Like, how are you supposed to stay focused when you don't know if you're going to come back to your home? Like, well, you don't know, you could come back and everything is gone. Like, and I know these guys,
they would have to be with me. Right. I would just have, like, you're going to Arizona with me, or you're going to in the Chargers case, you're going to Houston with me. Yeah. That's the only way you feel comfortable about it.
Yeah. It's just awful. I really hope they find a way to contain it soon, and they can actually like give people some peace of mind and hope that this is coming to an end. But I don't even know how you navigate something like this.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's like and we deal with hurricanes here in Houston, and I haven't dealt with that much of it, but even hearing the big ones, like, it's obviously there's after effect, but it's a day, it's just a day or a moment of the actual storm that is happening. This thing is just continuing. and moving and sliding over days. So it just doesn't end. It's just a scary thing. Prayers from the Daily Fix and Foolish Club Media goes out to all of those. I think you can look up Red Cross that you can help and provide financial help to those in need. But man, everybody stay safe out there and get out and hopefully this thing gets contained. Hi, Mom and Courtney.